Okay, service system. I've already talked about this a little bit, but there's a pneumatic imbalance in the proper air delivery to the service brake chambers. In other words, we have to have the proper pressure, the proper timing to each one of the brake chambers to make sure you have proper balance on the system. So common problems might be improperly functioning relays. A relays valve is basically make sure we have adequate pressure up there. The crack, it's called a crack pressure. We'll talk about that a little later. Check for safety valve issues. If I have a safety valve in there somewhere, it could be leaking or not doing its job, causing issues. Anytime we have an air leak, it's going to affect it. Airline restriction. Remember I was talking about kinking of the lines or putting the wrong size hose on it. That can cause it. A defective foot valve. If the foot valve itself is defective, remember, it's going to have problems with it delivering pressure to both sides. So if it delivers them at the wrong time or it doesn't give the proper pressure to both sides, it can cause an issue. Pressure limiting valve, where we have a pressure limiting valve, again, we'll talk about later, but on some of the systems, the pressure limiting valve will not work properly. Its job might be if I have air suspension, I'm going to have a pressure limiting valve and out. If it's messed up, we're going to have an issue on the process. Spring brake valve. Spring brake valve is this guy over here. It's on my table up here. The spring brake valve is there, and if we don't have proper pressure or the spring brake valve is not working properly, we can have issues up there, and you can have contaminations. I can actually have leaks around the chamber on these. The push-pull valve. We talked about that, but again, the push-pull valves are these valves up here. This may be mounted on the dash somewhere. If one of those has got a problem, and you notice we do have hoses and lines to it, we also have these things can cause a problem. And I'll probably make a mistake here later, and we'll show you where we can do it. The other one, the quick release valve not exhausting properly. While we're here, let's just talk about this in the process. So if I have this system, and I'm looking at it, and everything's working properly, when I push down on the pedal, notice my brake lights come on, and if you can see down, my brake chambers work. Now, this is a quick release valve over here. Hear that little chuff and you see this blow out again? Let's do this again. It blows that out all over the place. So if that thing is not working properly, what's going to happen is that brake is going to have air pressure still applied to it, and we're going to stop inappropriately. So there's a couple of things you look at. There's a lot of thinking that needs to be going into an air brake system. And the thing about it is, as a technician, you need to be able to understand how basics work on it. All right, the other problem, dragging brakes from proper trailer braking. Common problems, again, is my big thing is air leaks, restrictive air lines, same process, defective trailer protection valve. The trailer protection valve is this device up here. And what it does is it senses for air pressure in one of the lines or both the lines, depending on how it works, to make sure that it's there. If for some reason I lose pressure up there, it shuts down and closes to make sure I maintain pressure on the front brake systems. So if that's defective, we can cause issues. Again, we're back to the defective foot valve, push-pull valve. Which one would be the push-pull valve? Again, here, they could be causing our problems. We can have a trailer control valve. A trailer control valve is this valve here. What it allows me to do is apply the trailer brakes to see if they're working properly. And then we have a quick release valve not exhausting properly. I already showed you a quick release valve, what it does. So that's that noise that you get up there when you're driving down the road and all of a sudden you hear them hit the brakes, let off, you hear that, and you're wondering what's going on with the system. Of course, if you're going down the road, you probably don't hear it anyway. It's usually at a stoplight you might hear it. Service brakes. This is the other thing we need to talk about. Older trucks only had a single system. Remember, older cars that you've been driving for years only had a single master cylinder. You know, my 61 Chevrolet had a single master cylinder to operate all brakes. When we went a little bit later in the system, guys, and the ladies out there, you got to keep this in mind, we have a split system. Since 1975, we have to have a split system, which means is we're going to have a primary system and a secondary system. The primary system's job is apply the rear brakes, secondary and the front brakes. Now, hydraulic systems is reversed, but that makes it easy. But if I look at my secondary system, if I lose one of these sides up here, I should be able to keep it going. So what I can do real quickly is this. I'm going to shut off brakes to the air off to the secondary. If you see my gauge is at 0. Now, I still can apply brakes, but if you notice something, I made a mistake here. I want to make sure everybody does this. What mistake did I make? Had the parking brake on. I want to make sure. I knew I was going to do it sooner or later. So here's what it is. Now watch. Now, at this point, I've still got brake. And I got brake on both sides because there, but I'm only operating off of which chamber? Primary chamber. So what happens is the double check valve sensed which side is not working properly, and it automatically went over and used the primary system that had air pressure. Also, my brake light switch will also do the same thing. It will find the side's got the brake. See, the brake light switch works. Again, this is safe process. So this is what the safety factor is to make sure you can maintain brakes and stop the truck. So that means is I have 1 or 2 stops, but maybe not a lot, but at least I can do it.